Rick, getting closer and closer to that last match for Sting in March. And man, to have you with Sting, to even see you enter the ring and give those chops to Hobbs and the poke in the eye, and to have, JR and Tony Schiavone on commentary in 2024, like to me, Rick, as a a fan, as long as I have been, to see that happening, it is really a treat for the pro wrestling audience.
Yeah, well, I'm really excited to be part of it, but I don't even know if you're aware of this. When Tony said he wanted to do Greensboro, I was happy, but I was so skeptical because of how not just a combination of Crockett Promotions at the end trying to move Starrcade around, and then with the absentees, guys not showing up to work from WCW without any penalty whatsoever, just killing the towns. It is sold out, guys.
Yeah.
It's 19,000 seats already gone, and they're trying to go to the Forum next door.
Really? Wow.
It's already, 19,000. That's ACC basketball kind of stuff.
That's amazing. Wow. And that's really on the strength of Sting. And I know you've heard this a million times, and I know you're, a friend of Sting's, but everybody thinks of that match from Clash of Champions between you and Sting, of really making Sting's career. So I think it's absolutely fitting that you're going to be in his corner for his last match.
Yeah, I'm very excited, but to be quite honest with you, I tell people all the time, he made himself. Going 45 minutes when you have never done that before, his longest match probably being 10 to 15 minutes at the most.
Yep.
To go 45 minutes, and we didn't, me, I don't do rest holds, whatever they call it. I mean, we just kept going. So I was really, he made himself. I mean, I'm proud I was part of it, but to go 45 minutes when you haven't done that before wide open is pretty impressive.
You mentioned Starrcade, and, one of the things I want to get into is obviously we played the sound of the Royal Rumble, which is, believe it or not, on this date, this is the anniversary date of that Royal Rumble in 1992 when you won that WWF championship. But you know what? Let's go. What did that moment feel for you? Because, Rick, I'm going to tell you, and you probably already noticed, I was a diehard NWA fan. So to see you jump from the NWA to the WWF that night was like an amazing moment for me as a fan, but it also was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe Ric Flair has that WWF championship around his waist. What was that night for you back in 1992?
Well, God, I mean, everything I said, my stuff just comes off the top of my head. That's the truth with a tear in my eye, man, because Hurt had run me in the ground so bad. I mean, I don't know what I did wrong between him and Bischoff, but man, they couldn't do enough to run me in the ground. So, it was a huge moment. I mean, we never even talked about that when I went to see Vince. I didn't have a guaranteed contract. I had a handshake, and I didn't even know about it till actually, Jake Roberts told me. I thought he was ribbing me. He said, I hear you're going to win a belt. And I said, what are you talking about? And then I got there, and Pat and Vince called me in and said, what do you think? I said, yeah, you'll find me fair. In the words of Ray Stevens. So I was overwhelmed.
You talked about earlier, before Rick came on, about how much I love me some me. Like, I think the advantage of Rick being Rick and loving Rick, like him loving himself, is the same way as Muhammad Ali loving Muhammad Ali. Like, there's only about 5 or 6 iconic athletes across the board, and you can name them on one hand. Ali, Andre. There's maybe 2 wrestlers in that top 5. But when you say Mike Tyson, Muhammad Ali, like, that's the name that you put a Ric Flair in. Like, Rick, does that ever feel like too much? Like, don't do that, guys. Don't do that. Like, does it ever get old to you to be
Whatever gets
considered to be
old,
one of the greatest.
I don't see myself in that light. I mean, I see myself as being successful, but there's a big difference between what I did and what Muhammad Ali and Mike Tyson accomplished. And Mike and I are partners. We talk about it all the time. I will tell you something. I thought about this last night when I was thinking about the show. So, Charlotte's had surgery, right?
Yeah.
It's been a week and a half. So I was speaking with Dr. Dugas, Jeff, Mark, right?
Oh yeah.
Prior
Did
to,
all mine.
I was at the hospital prior to, and he's been there 30 years. You know what he said to me? Now think about this. He said, since he's been at the Andrews Clinic 30 years, right? Ashley is one of the top 3 athletes, not wrestlers, that they've ever done surgery on.
Wow.
Now think about that. We're talking Bo Jackson. We're talking, I mean, I can go down the list of people, the Tommy Johns. I'm up old. He said, we consider her one of the top 3 athletes, not wrestlers, to ever come through the doors. And her recovery, I mean, she's crushing it, guys. I mean, she's not going to come back faster than they will ever recommend. But I mean, she's just that's unbelievable. But I thought that might be one of the biggest compliments that anybody could ever get. I mean, it's unfortunate that it had to come from a doctor at a hospital. But I keep telling people, man, she's a different kind of cat. And to have them, when you're talking about operating on Bo Jackson and people like that, that's pretty strong.
And Rick, and I've said it on this show, and that's I mean, to hear that's amazing. But yeah. I said when it's all, I've said on this show many times, and I said this years ago, Rick, when it's all said and done, I truly believe that she's going to go down as the greatest women's wrestler of all time. And I think when you make a list of just the best and I think when you make a list of the best wrestlers, you have to put her on of all. You have to put her on that list, which is absolutely amazing. And she can, just like you, sir, like she can play any kind of role, any kind of character, any kind of personality. That's a tough thing to do in this business. But the athleticism you can't teach. And
no one can match her athletically. I mean, it's amazing to be 5'11" and weigh 150 pounds and do the stuff Rey Mysterio does. Come on, it's unheard of. That corkscrew moon scout on the opening of the show is the greatest spot on the show.
It's absolutely amazing, and we're gonna miss her at this year's WrestleMania. Obviously, that's always tough. I know that's got to be tough on her to have to miss WrestleMania, but
you have no idea.
I'm sure. But you know what? There's going to be a laundry list of WrestleManias after this year. So she's going to have so many more moments, and already she's had some of the most amazing moments. But Rick, kind of going back, rewinding a little bit to 1992 in that Rumble.
Mm-hmm.
You were so synonymous with the NWA. I mean, you were the GOAT. You were the greatest. You were the top. You went to every single territory defending that NWA championship. I think it's safe to say you were the last real world champion. I think I could say that without any doubt, that you were the last real world champion.
The last traveling world champion. Yeah.
You were the last real world champion. I mean, that's it. I mean, period. Because the way that wrestling is right now, because nobody was able to do that. Because I can't imagine what it would have to be like. Because, listen, the WWE travels all over the world, travels globally.
It was 3 marriages.
Well, I can sympathize.
When you don't come home for 6 months at a time, in New Zealand, Honolulu, Australia, Japan, name it.
Yeah. But at least you have the excuse. What's my excuse? I mean, I was home and I went through 3. But anyway, that's another discussion for another time.
Yeah.
I mean, think about this. Like in the WWE now, Roman Reigns is going to face the same person in St. Louis that he's going to face in Germany or anywhere else. But to be able to have chemistry with with an Antonio Inoki in Japan, and then a Bruiser Brody in St. Louis,
Yeah.
and then to a Kerry Von Erich in Dallas, Texas. Like, how were you able to go an hour to have the chemistry with a different wrestler every night of the week?
I don't know. It was just I'm blessed. I didn't have a problem with it. Brody. Once I figured out, once I earned his respect, it was great. He allowed. Can you imagine Brody in the WWE right now? Good Lord. The guys would be running and hiding. Or in any AEW as well. The Bruiser,
Running and hiding.
yeah, he and Stan Hansen were a different couple of guys. And I wrestled them both many hours, Stan, oh my God, the real lariat, the real clothesline. But
Did you ever wrestle Danny Hodge?
I never wrestled Danny, but I got to know him real well. I took my first experience with Danny Hodge. We were wrestling in Knoxville, Tennessee, and I had just met Danny, right? And I came back in for my match, and the showers it was cold outside, and all the showers were freezing cold, and the knobs were all broken off. The showers were turned. Danny Hodge had turned off and broken off with his hands. I've seen him do this stuff, guys. When he was younger, I mean, I've always seen the apple, but to be able to twist off and break pliers, I mean, come on. No wonder, yeah. When he grabbed that ankle, man, that far ankle ride, nobody was getting away from him.
No.
Yeah, Danny was tough. But
Golly, I was hoping to hear a Danny Hodge story.
Well, there's one for you. I mean,
yeah, I'll take that. I'll take what I can get.
That's a good one, right? That's a good one right there.
Marking out with Mark.
Yeah. Danny was great, but man, what a different cat. I think he got disqualified in the Olympics for breaking the guy's ankle. Because he didn't win a gold, but I think he won a silver, but I think he broke the guy's ankle, but not intentionally. He had that kind
strength.
That grip was unreal.
Amazing. Rick, now that you're working with AEW, you get to see Mark every week. What do you think of the young? Do you have any time to kind of pass your? I mean, my God, if I'm anywhere near a Nature Boy Ric Flair, I'm bombarding you. It would be at the point you would be annoyed with me. I would be bombarding you with questions and advice. Like, do you have the time to give some advice and pass that knowledge to some of that roster?
I'll tell you what's amazing you're asking me that, because it just came about last week. Hobbs is the guy that I poked in the eye, right?
Yep.
So he asked me what he thought. I said, "Do you really want me to tell you?" So I spent a half hour with him afterwards, showing him stuff that'll just make him better. It's little detail things. He's got an incredible amount of talent, but sometimes the guys, they come along and they miss the what am I trying to say? The things that
finer points.
The things that the difference between good and great. Make sense?
Yes.
Sometimes they learn how to do something spectacular, but they're fundamentally weak. Does that make sense? And I was just showing them, like, as an example, a better way to kick a guy that's down. Where you would get them close to the ropes, grab the top rope where you have balance of yourself, rather than trying to free kick somebody. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you can balance yourself, you can look like you're stomping a mud hole in them, and they won't even feel it if you know what you're doing. You know what I mean? And he's just too big a guy and too impressive to be able to press slam and throw guys around and that, and then throw a punch that wouldn't break an egg. Which wasn't the case with the punch we were talking about. I'll give you an example of what people they miss the fundamentals. It's like when I broke in, Ray Stevens told me to hang that string, hit that string until I didn't make it move, right? And I did spend hours doing that. And then pretty soon I could fall back and nail a guy. It looked like I killed him and I never touched him. But those are little things it's just fundamentals. And I'm fortunate enough to learn. I mean, when you're hanging around Dick Murdoch and and Harley Race and the Briscoes and all these guys, and I had wonderful opportunities to learn from myself. It's amazing. It's like Jack Briscoe. They told Jack and I to do an hour in Orlando one night. So the referee goes over and says, Briscoe says, you go to the ring first, and then normally the champion comes second. So I already assume it's going to be a long night because he doesn't like doing the hours, but he's way past that, So we got out there about 10 minutes of the match. He did it when I tell you to put the figure four when we put it on. I said, I said, oh God, we got 1 hour. Eddie will get mad. He said, do you think I'm going to give his shit with it? Okay. Well, can you talk to him on my behalf? That's the way Jack rolled, man. Jack Briscoe was double tough, brother. 31-0 his junior year. Nobody scored a point on him. No one took him off his feet. 31 pins, and no one scored a point on him.
Wow.
People don't realize that's Jerry. I mean, Jack Briscoe was bad to the bone, man. You'd never know it. Easy going, smoking a cigarette, do 5 jumping jacks, and go out and wrestle an hour.
So Rick, you have mentored, influenced. I've said this to you off and on the air. I wouldn't be doing this show right now if it wasn't for you. So you've influenced so many people to do what they do at a high level. If you had to choose one person who influenced you the most, who would that person be?
Ooh.
The guy that influenced me the most when I was breaking in?
Yes.
Dusty Rhodes. I can answer it without even thinking. I fell in love with the dream. I wanted to be his brother. I wanted to be Ramblin' Ricky Rhodes. Vern Gagne said, you're crazy. You can stay as far away from him as you can. Mark, so I was such a mark for Rhodes and Murdoch, right? So they told me one time, they said, listen, we're going to be on Johnny Carson tonight. You take us to the airport, but don't tell anybody. So I took him to the airport, and I went home and I told my wife, I said, God, they're going to be on. I was such a mark for Dusty and Murdoch. I loved them both. And I watched that damn Johnny Carson for an hour and a half before I was remember on that. I mean, that's what kind of a mark I was for them. They were in Honolulu.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Hey, Rick.
Yeah.
I was the same way. I was just such a mark when I came into wrestling. You remember when I first came, I was such a fan. I had no idea what the fuck I was doing. And I got with Owen Hart, and I used to drive, and he used to rib me all the time. I'm going to talk about this on February 10th at Dave LaGreca's Laminated List. It's a little snippet of it, but Owen would always take the keys and he would move the car, and we would come back out. He'd put the keys back in my locker or in my bag or whatever. And I would, every week, damn it, Rick, I would walk out and I'd be like, I know I parked the car right here. And I'm looking around, and Owen did that to me for like 3 months, man. Like every week I would be like, I thought I was losing my mind. And he just, and never sold it. He never sold it until he did. So it was, I was a mark too.
They were bad. I've seen guys chain their bags to them. You've seen all this stuff, Mark, over the years.
Yeah.
I
don't want to give it all up, but Owen, I'm gonna do his top 5 laminated list ribs.
Yeah.
Okay.
At the Gramercy.
I never,
and it's gonna blow people's mind.
Yeah, I've seen Kurt Hennig do some horrible stuff. My God. He put someone's bag on a conveyor belt going to a different city one time.
Oh shit!
That's just mean.
I know it is.
That is so
That's
mean.
just mean. That's just flat out mean.
Uh,
Rick, you talk about Dusty Rhodes, and obviously I wasn't a big fan of Dusty Rhodes because I was a Nature Boy Ric Flair fan, and my all-time greatest feud of all time is you and Dusty Rhodes from back in the day for that NWA championship. But you look at Cody right now, and we're hoping that Cody finishes the story at WrestleMania 40 and wins that WWE championship. Like, what do you think about Cody? And I look at Cody Rhodes as somebody that could be the top guy in the WWE, could be the face of the company. What do you think of Cody Rhodes?
oh, I think he's special. I was hoping, and I actually thought that he would win it last year. So
Yeah,
but I tell you what really amazed me on both people's part is, when they put him with Brock, that can go one of two ways, right? And I actually texted Brock and I said, brother, you have just put yourself in a different league, because I mean he about killed him. But at the end of the day, he put him over and champion. And I text Brock and I said, brother, you're a special kind of cat, and you've got me. You've gone from being a great attraction to a good worker to a great worker. He is a great worker right now. He is in the class of great. The kid can do anything. I mean, and it looks real. And brother, I wanted to wrestle him a couple of times. I just say, remember, I'm just a little bit older than you, buddy. he never hurt me, but Brock is like, he's a little bit like Brody. So Brody probably is a little meaner. But Brock's pretty intimidating, right, Mark?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, but I tell you something else. The minute they gave Brock the mic, or gave Brock the mic, where instead of Heyman talking, he talks. He's great. He was great on the mic.
He evolved though, Rick. Like,
yeah,
I don't think there's nobody in that top 10 of all time that evolved like Brock did.
yeah, yeah.
The other 9 men in the top 10, from their prime, in their prime, they were who they were. At the end, they were who they were.
Yeah.
Brock got better and better and better. Even in the last 3-5 years,
I know
Brock has been better.
Yeah, he just
Radio Brock.
Yeah.
Remember Radio Brock? He had the big boom box. Like he started dancing and showing personality. He never did that before that day.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the hell? Like, who is this dude?
Yeah, no, he's in a different league but really someone that I'm very impressed with him. And he said that's a real strong message, and I said, well, it's the absolute truth. So I have a lot of time for him, and he's a hell of an athlete, guys. I mean, to win the UFC, I mean, to almost make the Vikings, and he hadn't played college, hadn't played football since high school. I mean, come on. So he's like a LeBron James kind of athlete.
Rick, I told you he's one of the, outside of my brother, he's the only person that whooped my ass.
Yeah. Hey, after seeing your kid, I think your kid could whip your ass now.
Bro, I'm not even trying to get none of that smoke. I don't want none of it.
Rick, thank you so much for the time. One last question before we let you go. And Rick, I got to tell you, it's a pleasure every time you come on this show. It means a lot to me. So thank you for taking the time out. And again, I'm drinking my Woo Energy because it gives me energy all 3 hours. This helps me go 3 hours every single day, this Woo Energy. So
does the Mount Everest.
Yeah. Well, that's a discussion for another time. But now that you're with AEW, Rick, listen, AEW has done a lot. AEW's only been around for 5 years, and what they've been able to do in 5 years has been amazing. What's one thing that you think AEW has done right, and one thing that you think AEW needs to work on in this short time that they've been around?
Oh, obviously they've done a lot right. It's hard for me to critique people when I'm working for them and that, but all I can say is that if we do, I mean, to me, Greensboro could be a whole new day for AEW, if that makes sense. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
81,000 people in London, and they're just getting going in the European market. But to do 20,000 plus people in Greensboro could be they could just start the company brand. I mean, and they need to come out of that show. They need to make that show one of the best shows to be seen on TV in years. And they have the talent to do it if they're all healthy.
Rick, thank you again.
21,000 in Greensboro is making a statement, guys. To a town.
I believe, and they've made statements. AEW has made some positive statements in this industry.
Yeah. And
so
Tony is a smart guy. They'll work hard on that card, and I mean, they could just the Monday after that show could start a whole new trend for them.
Rick, again, thank you so much. Appreciate the time. You're the greatest of all time. So to be able to say that we had the greatest of all time on the show means a lot. So thank you for everything. And it's great seeing you a part of AEW. Thanks so much, Rick.
Thank you. Can I tell you guys something?
Sure.
Always Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, limousine riding, and private jet flying. Woo!
Love it.